All right, so what's going on, everybody? This is Mike Jones or Phil Jones, however you guys know me personally or professionally. I'm coming to you live in effect, as always, the Extraordinary Man podcast. Okay, enough of the formalities. I saw something online, and being not just a content creator, but a content consumer, I saw something that it kind of disturbed me down to my core. Being that the brand that I represent is the Extraordinary Man podcast, and being a man who speaks on the behalf of the empowerment and the consciousness of men as a whole, this is something that it really brought me to a very dark place, and I didn't necessarily know how to deal with it. So I'm going to ask people to please understand that the things that I'm going to say in this episode are coming from a honest place. They're coming from a genuine place, but they're also coming from a place of anger, because I feel that men have gotten themselves down to the lowest possible totem pole. And this isn't men as a whole, but representing a man in a network that is intended for the empowerment and betterment of men. I feel that I'm obligated to speak on this. So I'm asking you guys to bear with me as I get through this, and just to understand that I only want what's in the best benefit of men, because what's in the best benefit of men is what's in the best benefit of society. So I was viewing a podcast from a very popular YouTuber by the name of Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews. And I want to make sure that I give him the proper accolades that he deserves. Please make sure to go check out his YouTube channel, Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews. I'll make sure that in the description line that his podcast that I actually got this information from is made publicly available. I definitely want to make sure that with fair use that I'm also making sure to promote this guy, because I am a huge fan of his work. This is dealing with the concept of AI. A popular female from the social media space. I'll let him explain more into it. She is utilizing AI in order to siphon money out of men, based on making them believe that they're having intimate conversations with her online. But because she has so many different men that she cannot possibly cater to them all individually, she's found a way to integrate AI into her social media, or into her business, so to speak, to where she is able to make you feel that you are actually having a conversation with the real deal, when in fact you're having a conversation with a bot. Before I give my deliberation on this, I'm going to go ahead and go to the video so you guys can get full context of what is being spoken upon. So without further ado, let's get right into it. And you guys are going to get a full view of Mr. Mediocre Tutorial Reviews and what he has to say on the matter. And I'm going to deliberate on it by reacting to his video and then giving you guys my final thoughts at the end.
Guys, do me a favor and buckle up for this conversation, because it is one that we really need to have, okay? But in the land of the WTF is going on, in the land of send the asteroid, in the land of why are we living in so much of a clown world today, in the land of Thanos, come back here. Here's the Infinity Gauntlet. Snap to reset this shit. We have here today a dissection of what I will think will be the most important as well as detrimental changes to the modern dating marketplace today going into the future. Y'all thought that the growth of social media apps and dating apps, as well as the growth of porn, the ease of access of porn, has done a number on the modern dating
I'll go ahead and fast forward
structure today, then y'all ain't seen nothing yet. Exhibit A, influencer makes an AI girlfriend version of herself, rakes in more than $70,000 in 1 week. 23-year-old influencer Karen Majory has over 1.8 million followers on Snapchat. Connecting with that many people may prove to be difficult, so she came up with a way to connect with her followers, especially the lonely ones. Y'all.
So first things first, in this reaction, I want you guys to understand, she already had a large following. Now, in one respect, it's like we understand that men are visual. So men have a desire to gain the attention of beautiful women. We love beautiful women. I don't know a man alive that does not appreciate it, even gay, straight, whatever have you. I don't know a single man out there that does not appreciate the novelty of a beautiful woman. So what happens that clearly she has gained quite a bit of a following over time to be able to have 1.8 million followers on Snapchat. And clearly, if you have people that are throwing desires at you left and right as far as what they would like to see from you, you're not going to be able to cater to 1. I don't care how efficient you are, you're not going to be able to cater to 1.8 million people at any given time. However, what she's done, I have to say, is genius from a business point of view. But the fact that there's so many men that are buying into it disturbs me. Let us continue.
Simps out there that makes money off of them at the same time. Pay attention. Marjorie created an AI chatbot designed to be an AI girlfriend, one that her followers would pay $1 per minute to engage with. Thousands of hours were spent getting Karen AI to sound like her and mimic her personality.
All right. When I was coming up, there was a such thing called the party line. And basically what it was is that it was just some line to where women and men would get on to, and they would just kind of go back and forth, round and round, send messages back and forth, and they would direct link back and forth to where they would eventually get each other's attention. Now, this is prior to Plenty of Fish. This is prior to, and again, I know I'll be aging myself a little bit, so for my younger viewers, just kind of follow along. This was prior to when social media sites were actually created, dedicated specifically to the purpose of dating or hooking up or whatever have you. So as the integration started to come, you started to have conversations with people. And then again, you would get trolled sometimes depending on where you were. There was a site that I remember called Urban Chat. There was a site that I remember that was called, what was it called? I can't remember the name of it. If it comes to me at some point in time during this recording, I'll make sure to put it out there. But there were sites that over time, 2005, 2006, 2007, that we would actually meet women by having chats back and forth, getting to know each other, being able to review somebody's profile, review their pictures, see if there was somebody we're interested in. And if she was interested in us in return, we would go back and forth, have conversations, and eventually would meet. I myself have met women off of the internet. Not a whole bunch of them, but they were in my city. They felt safer. They felt like it was a better filtering process. So there was a couple of layers of the awkwardness that were chipped away by going through the internet. Obviously, it was something that was fairly new. Obviously, you have to make sure that the person that you were dealing with over said period of time, was it getting too sexual? Was it getting too much on the women to men end? Was she asking for money? What was the situation that we were dealing with? So I've had a couple of experiences, good experiences to say the least, but in essence, it was still in the early beta stages of what we have current day. Now, when looking at a situation like this with the AI integration, it's gotten to a place to where what used to be a system to where people would use corn, use your imagination to figure out what I'm talking about, to where you would have dedicated sites to where you would pay servicing fees and stuff for this, to where now we have this thing called OnlyFans. And with OnlyFans, you have it to where influencers are selling videos of themselves doing provocative things that some people are subscribing to be able to have one-on-one interactions, so to speak, visual interactions with their favorite social media influencers. So now you don't have a dedicated corn star like how we had back in my day. Now you have just random people, random attractive women, I guess in some respects, men or whatever have you, that they are now able to just post themselves onto this website and label themselves as content creators rather than corn stars. So now with this, this young lady here, has revolutionized the game and took it a step further to where it's bad enough that people were already paying money to watch people take part in promiscuous behavior. But now you're not even talking to a real person. You're talking to an artificial intelligence simulated version of a person, to where this person is sitting somewhere with a real boyfriend or her real life somewhere while you are having a conversation with somebody that doesn't even exist. Let's continue.
During a beta test of AI Girlfriend, Marjorie says she's made more than $70,000 in 1 week. Let me tell you guys something. I used to work in tech and product for a technology company, and we would beta test things. And beta testing is essentially creating the actual product behind scenes and then trying out that product, usually on a test market, right? A confined amount of people to actually see it, to see how would this work in front of everybody. If you make $70,000 in the first week, then that's successful, especially because there's no inventory. There's no maximum amount of customers, lonely ass, disgusting customers that she can service, and there's no overhead. There's no employees that she has to pay. She only has to fund this bot. She thinks the immersive AI experience could eventually bring in as much as $5 million per month.
All right, so I'm going to pause it here. And I'm going to just go ahead and deliberate on what my actual opinions and thoughts are from this point, because I don't want to drag this thing on any further than it has to be. Men, I'm saying this to you out of love, and I'm saying this to you out of sheer respect for what we bring to the table. Well, whether you realize what you bring to the table, whether anybody else is going to respect what you bring to the table, it's time for you to grow up here. I, at no point in time, advocate for a man putting his credit card and his livelihood and his hard-earned money on the line to pay for the services of watching a woman that is doing nothing for you. I understand that statistically, there's a great deal of men that are lonely. There are a great deal of men who they do not get the same sexual experience that their women counterparts get. They do not get the same level of sexual experience as some of the higher echelon men get. They are underdeveloped. They may be overweight. They may be underconfident. Whatever the situation may be, there are fixes for this. The late, great Kevin Samuels said a bunch of things, and maybe the way that he delivered it may not have been received the best, but a lot of it had everything to do with your value. That number one, if you don't value yourself, you are willing to do things like this, to where not only are you going to get to a place to where you are paying money unnecessarily to see a woman that you could never have, that has a real life that is completely independent of you, but you will go as far as paying for an AI simulation of a woman that you find interesting and never actually see, speak, or communicate with this woman. Yet you have convinced yourself somehow that this is a real person. When somebody tells me that they can get $5 million, or they believe that they can earn $5 million off of it, the duplicity of the situation, because as the inner businessman in me, I'm thinking like, man, this is like, I can't knock the hustle. But the reality of it, as far as being a man in general, I just have to say, enough already, guys. Enough already. If you're overweight and your overweightness is part of the confidence issue that you're having, go get a gym membership. Instead of paying people like this or bots or whatever it is, $9.95, $5, whatever you're paying them, go to Planet Fitness and go get a $10 membership and go lose the weight and feel better about yourself. You're going bald? If that's a problem for you, there's hair treatment opportunities. If you don't feel like you make enough money, work harder, gain more skills, move yourself up the corporate ladder, start your own business, get yourself involved in things that are productive. Make yourself a more attractive option. At some point in time, you have to understand that this is beyond a sickness. This is disgusting. And this isn't a judgment I'm passing off on men who are doing these things. This is just, at some point in time, you have to ask yourself, enough is enough. Is enough enough here? Where do we go to where people can make simulations of real people to make you think that you're having an experience that you're not? It's bad enough that when you're talking to the girl on some of these chat rooms or some of these sites, that you're talking to somebody that has absolutely no real interest, and their entire job description is to sell you a fantasy. But let's get real. Now, not only are they selling you a fantasy, they're just putting in some code and just letting it go rampant, and you're just falling for it. The desperation factor for attention and quality time has to cease. I don't care if you have to go to 100 bars and pay for 100 drinks to meet 100 women to find potentially one that's actually interested in you. Go outside and go find somebody that's actually interested in you. And if you feel that the issue may possibly be you, then work on the things that are hindering you from being the best version of yourself, and then go back out there and try again. For God's sakes, this is disgusting what we just watched. And if this is where the future is headed, which clearly AI is going to be a huge impact on what our future is, you have to take into consideration the fact that reality as you know it, reality as we know it, is in jeopardy. But at the end of the day, more and more devices are being put into place that's going to separate a man from his money. And when people have figured out ways to do less and less and less work to cater to your carnal desires, to give you access to a fantasy, and you're willing to come out of your wallet at a moment's notice and pay for something that is not only not real, but it's not even human. At some point in time, I feel like as men, we have to draw the line. I'll be your big brother, I'll be your cool uncle, I'll be your daddy, I'll be whoever I need to be to try to snap you out of the fact that put your wallet away and go outside and go get you some self-esteem. Enough has to be enough when it comes down to this. We have to start holding each other as men accountable, because society does not move without the strength and stability of the things that men provide. And if we do not get to this place where we start realizing that we are moving in the wrong direction, trust me, society as we know it is going to remind us. Right? You have industrial nations around the world that are constantly innovating, constantly educating their people, constantly putting them ahead of the learning curve. And you're sitting here giving your money away to an AI bot. I understand that there's a certain level of shame that comes along with that. There's a certain level of self-loathing. There's a certain level of whatever the situation is. I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to tell you it's time to snap out of it. We need to be stronger. We need to be more confident, more competent, better skilled, and better ready to take on the things in the world. There are almost 8 billion people out here in the world. There's almost enough people to match where there are more women than there are men in this world. There's no reason that you're behaving like this. There's absolutely no reason that you're behaving like this. And it's time out for the nonsense. That's my spiel, everybody. Comment, like, subscribe. Make sure that you guys ask plenty of questions. If you disagree with my stance on it, please make sure that you bring the smoke. I don't care how it's taken. I just care that it's absorbed and understood that this behavior needs to come to an end. We have to stop this. You cannot continue to pay for things that do nothing for you. Anyway, that's my time, guys. This is Phil Jones coming to you live in effect, as always, Extraordinary Man Podcast. Peace. Check me out next time.